I think the answer to that is yes. And I'm going to bring it back over here to these Pendle protocols because each one of these, I view each of these as a business. So, like each of these are all just businesses. They call them protocols, but these are just companies and they're running a particular strategy that generates yield. Now, I think a lot of these guys, Josh, are in Southeast Asia or offshore somewhere. I think many of them are not US based. So if you swap into one of their, they call them quote unquote stable coins, they are not. Most of these, I don't think you can think of as stable coins. The only token that I really think of as a stable coin is something that's backed by treasuries. If it's backed by treasuries and or cash, then I think it's a stable coin. But if we're talking about, farming or like structured stables or a delta neutral synthetic dollar, or like there's no dollar here for Athena. Like all it is a representation of their strategy that they wrapped into a token and pegged to one and then created a yield bearing version. But it's all completely, they made it up. They could have pegged it to anything. They could have pegged it to seven just because they like the number seven. I don't know. But they peg it to one and then they call it a stable coin. So, but these protocols, many of them are not US based. So I think that if you're swapping in to something like, oh, I don't know, take your pick, maybe something like this, AID. If you're swapping into AID and you're getting access to, exposure to GPU or AI compute, and this is a company in Thailand or Singapore, then that kind of is the type of exposure that you're talking about, maybe by proxy without realizing it. Were you thinking of something else, maybe like a particular token launched by a team in Singapore that is exposed
Um,
to bonds or
just
something?
anything that's maybe not oversaturated with domestic money, anything that could benefit from a weaker dollar. Just anything in general that would kind of meet those criteria. Some of these look interesting, actually.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll definitely have to think about that. I haven't seen any offshore bonds, any developing market bonds on chain. The only RWAs, like bond RWAs that I've seen on chain, are treasuries. Um, so maybe that is an area where a protocol probably exists that is, tokenizing, developing nation debt somewhere. It probably does exist. And that's an interesting idea. I would really like to, when it comes to energy, though, I would really like to be able to trade nat gas on chain. And I think that you can trade it on Hyperliquid, but I don't know. It didn't, the opportunity didn't really jump out at me, so I didn't open the position. But Josh, I'm curious, what do you think about this delta neutral play on gold over here? So weaker dollar, maybe gold
Uh,
doesn't correct as sharply as I think it will.
yeah, I love it. I'm interested to know kind of what your range is and what you think is a safe range.
Of
I
course.
looked at that pool a while ago. I couldn't decide on a range and I was doing fine with other things. I actually shorted gold at like 54. And so now I'm looking to kind of reallocate after I made some money on the short and maybe do something like this.
Yeah, so here, I intentionally opened two positions here with two different ranges so that I could compare the yield that I earned from both. And when I went into this position earlier today, notice how narrow the range is, extremely narrow. So, I'm basically like, what is that? Like 40 basis points wide or something, 50 basis points wide, 55. Very, very narrow. And the point that the reason for that is these tokens are the same thing. So PAXG is Paxos Gold, XAUT is Tether Gold. And so they should maintain some type of a peg to the same underlying asset, which means they shouldn't move against one another very much.